So good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Be Future Ready webinar series. So this webinar series is designed to provide you with valuable information on a range of different topics to support you when thinking about your future and the potential career pathways open to you. So today marks our 6th webinar, and I'm delighted that we've got Lakshmi Hughes with us today. Before I hand over to Lakshmi, however, I'd like to remind attendees of the format. So we're going to run through a short 15-minute presentation on the topic of careers in chemistry before leaving some time at the end to answer some of your questions. Please write your questions in the chat while the session is running, and we'll look to get to as many as we can before we finish up at around 11:20. And any questions we don't get to, we'll be sure to send around follow-up answers afterwards. So as I mentioned before, Lakshmi is going to be talking to you about careers in chemistry. She's the Careers Advice and Guidance Manager at the Royal Society of Chemistry. So Lakshmi, I'll hand over to you.
Hi everyone. So I'd like to say, how would you like to make a difference by what you do as a job? Because by being a chemist, you will. There are all sorts of backgrounds of people who go into it with all sorts of interests, and whether it's you want to help us live more sustainably or develop life-saving medicines, chemistry would be a good option for you. But let me hand over to some chemists so you can see that for yourself.
Of my life, it's what I do every single day. It is a very complex subject, and it's a subject that always makes you think and it challenges you. There isn't any aspect of your life which isn't enabled or affected by chemistry.
The fact that I'm constantly achieving goals, it keeps each day rolling and I feel satisfied.
I get to apply chemistry to real life problem, in this case fighting in the war on plastics.
That what I'm doing will make a positive change to the world.
I'm really proud to be a chemist. I feel really valued at work and I feel like I make a difference.
I chose chemistry because it means that I can help develop life-changing medicines. I'm really proud of what I do, and I'm really proud of being a chemist.
Science knows everything because everything in the world is made from chemistry.
So as a chemist then, you could be working in more places than you think. So many are working to help change lives, and they're in hospitals and pharmaceutical companies, for example. As a medicinal chemist, you would work on molecules for potential new medicines that can then lead on to cure devastating diseases. Chemistry knowledge was essential in developing the coronavirus. And you may not know this, but when you create a molecule, that's the first time that's ever existed in the billion years of there being the planet. So the other things that chemists do are to help with the move to renewable clean energy. Working in small and large companies and universities to develop better solar energy cells or increase the lifespan of wind turbine blades. And the area of chemistry you'd be in with that is sort of formulating coatings and paint, sort of physical chemistry. So again, manufacturers, universities, small companies. And chemists are important to finding a way to store energy as well. You may not think this, but wind and solar power, they generate a lot of electricity, but as I'm sure you know, we need a way to store it. And chemists are working on batteries. They are at the forefront of that. In fact, they're already improving batteries for electric vehicles, which we're moving to but as soon as we can. And they're finding ways to recycle them and look at more sustainable ways to produce them. And then there are some who work to make the world more sustainable by developing smart food packaging and in making plastic biodegradable. So I think I'd like to just show you one of a chemist who is making plastic more biodegradable. This is Celine, and she works in a small company where you do a lot of things, not just the chemistry.
Well, nowadays we see a lot of problems evolving around plastic pollution. We see plastics in the ocean, we see plastics in species' stomachs, and chemistry is basically the answer to most everything, because everything in the world is made from chemistry. My name is Celine. I work as an analytical technician at Computational. We try and deal with the crisis around plastic pollution through our advanced science and technology, where we try and modify the molecular structure of plastics using chemistry so that they can biodegrade in the natural environment. I chose to study chemistry because it is a very complex subject, and it's a subject that always makes you think and it challenges you. And I love a challenge. I did a degree in university in biological resources, which focuses on the chemistry of raw materials. After many months of applying and looking and going to interviews, I finally found a break at Computational, which I look back today and I think it was worth every single moment that I spent time. I want to work for a company or an industry that's trying to make the world a better place. The fact that Computational has a mission of tackling one of the biggest problems that we have in our modern society, which is plastic pollution, and knowing all the harms that it does to the environment and to the people that live within that type of environment is really important to me, and every day it motivates me. My skills are mainly when it comes to material sciences, understanding the way a molecule functions and how the plastic is formed. We're always looking ways to upgrade and to improve our technology through innovation, through brainstorming. And what I love about it is that every day there's something new to learn. Although I work full-time at Computational, I'm currently doing a master's in environmental engineering, which will give me even more skills and knowledge to be able to apply to my job that I'm doing. Choose something that you are interested in, a type of industry that you'd like to be part of, and then from then on, as a chemist, there will always be something you can do in that industry.
So it's a very inspiring story, and Polymateria is a company that's growing and growing, and I'd urge you to think about small companies, to do work experience with. 80% of chemists or more than that are actually employed in small companies, so it's worth thinking about an area that really makes you tick and finding out what's out there. It's obviously a small company suits people who like a fast-paced environment and where you want to learn other skills like business skills or get more responsibility, and then obviously alongside that you get the pressures of that. So if that floats your boat, that's where there's lots of opportunities there. Conversely, as a chemist, you also could work for huge global organizations with locations all around the world and opportunities to work with huge names and travel and have access to lots of resources. I'm sure you'll all have heard of AstraZeneca, who famously delivered a vaccine for coronavirus. And we have a chemist who's come through an apprenticeship route who works for AstraZeneca. And I think it would be good for you to hear her story.
I do means that I can actually develop medicines that will make a life-changing difference. I'm Holly. I'm an associate scientist that works for a global company called AstraZeneca. My job involves working with a range of different people to help with the development of making the medicines that we then give to patients. So I've always loved chemistry since a young age. So when I was in high school, I actually competed in different STEM competitions up and down the country. As part of one of the finals for this, I met Professor Robert Winston, who is a TV scientist, and he sort of inspired my passion even more. My typical working day is mainly around the development of medicines, and this involves dissolving compounds, which are the ingredients to make our medicines, and understanding that process. Here at work, I have a range of different skills that I use for my job. It includes team working, problem solving, analysing data. The main one is communication, being able to talk to different people. So I started at AstraZeneca through an apprenticeship scheme. So this involves both working here at AstraZeneca alongside studying the online degree. The apprenticeship scheme works for me because I'm quite a practical person. I learn from doing things, not necessarily sitting and learning from a textbook. So actually being able to go into the lab and work and understand how things work that way was a lot better for me. What keeps me motivated in my work is the fact that in years to come, when these medicines are actually delivered to the patients, they'll make a life-changing difference to them. That makes me feel wonderful because it's great to know that although I'm just one person in such a huge company, the difference that I do in my job can make a difference to the people.
So finally, of course, there's work you might be interested to stay in academia or stay studying chemistry in a university, if you like a more reflective environment where you'll be sharing more knowledge and exploring ideas. So this chemist, he came in through an interesting route and actually developed a mobile robot chemist for his PhD, and then that spun off into a small and medium enterprise that he runs. So he's and the robotic, the opportunities in computational chemistry and robotic chemistry are sort of growing, and that again, if you're into computers, it's becoming more and more a world where chemists are being employed.
Chemistry is the model science that explains all the phenomena you see in life. My name is Benjamin Burger. I developed the first mobile robotic scientist. We're applying this mobile robot technology to different fields. One of the interesting applications would be vaccine development. These robots are very much suited for this, so don't get ill from any virus or pathogens. As one person, I can supply materials to more than one robot, so the amount of research that I can do is greatly enhanced.
So wherever you start in your job, you're unlikely to stay in it, because throughout your career you do swap around a lot nowadays, and there are lots of opportunities to do that. So if you start as an organic chemist, you can develop into a physical chemist, or you might even end up in a museum, which is where Lucia works. She analyzes museum objects to help, in her case, the Victoria and Albert Museum in London, help the curators there understand, date and authenticate items. She actually even held Tutankhamun's shroud and was involved with that. So I'll hand over to her and she can tell her story.
Literally hold history in my hands. My name is Lucia and I am the senior scientist here at the Victoria and Albert Museum. One day I may be asked to analyse the precious metals on Queen Victoria's coronet. On another day I have to check the pigments on medieval manuscripts. I take my object, I analyse it, I explore things that were unknown before or that people did not expect. The world is made of chemistry, and you can still discover new things and find new facts and find ways of using chemistry to advance humankind.
So there, if you wanted to read Lucia's story, she actually also had an interest in classics. So it's not the case that you have to go down one route. You know, your chemistry, you're not defined just by chemistry. And I think at this point, I'd like to move on to some of the financial rewards of being a chemist. You'll have a good salary. I mean, there are 275,000 chemists working in chemistry using professionals in the UK, and in 2019, the UK GDP was estimated to be about 87 billion. So it's a very secure world to move into. At the Royal Society of Chemistry, where I work, our chemists earn a median salary of, as you can read, £45,500, which is well above the average, and chemistry graduates are easily employable and earn higher salaries when they start out. So you could be giving, or you could be rewarding from what you're giving back to society, but it won't be at your own expense. So there's another incentive to consider it. Also worth mentioning again is that the skills you're going to learn as a chemist, they're not just technical chemistry skills. You'll learn some observation skills, some creative skills, the ability to teach yourself. And we know that in the future that this active learning and this ability to continue learning is extremely important. So what you're developing by studying chemistry is also a holistic person, and that you can take into any job. We have other people on our website, chemists who are patent lawyers or lobbyists. So when you're thinking about what you want to do, you do have to think what makes you tick, and a rewarding career does really start with some self-inquiry about what you enjoy. You know, is it making things, or do you prefer socializing or writing or being outdoors? Now that can really help steer you in the right direction. Obviously I'm promoting chemistry here, but even within the chemistry as a sector, if you enjoy being outdoors, an environmental chemist will see you being outdoors a lot. And if you like making things, there's the whole innovative, the mobile robotic scientist started as something that was made. Also, how important is financial security to you? That will help determine what sort of company that you'd want to apply for, or whether you want to set up independently. And do you want to make a difference in some way? I've shown you chemists mainly who are sort of doing things to change lives in their own way, but there may be other things that you may be more interested in, data. And do you want a job that will challenge you? From our members at the Royal Society of Chemistry, all practicing chemists, 92% of them find that they found that the challenging work is the most important thing to them in their role, and being able to be yourself at work. That's another thing that you need to consider when you're looking at where you want to work and what you want to do. So answering those questions will help you choose a career in chemistry or in any other area that you're going to find rewarding. And finally, all those chemists I showed you today, they're one of many, and our website's got a lot more information about how to go forward, how to be inspired by other people. It has information on if you're all doing your A-levels or equivalents right now. There are lots of opportunities in terms of higher education and where you go next, and it's not a one size fits all. The degree is one route, but there are many others. So I'd urge you to go to the site and take a look at that, and browse around, look at what chemists are up to, what skills they need, and what they need to do. We've got advice on work experience as well. So thank you very much for your time, and good luck with whatever it is you go on to do. I hope it remains in science and preferably chemistry.
Fantastic. Thank you, Lakshmi. That was really, really helpful, and I think had a lot of valuable information in there for the students to find out a little bit more information about not only today, but also going on to look at other resources. So we have had a few questions come in from students. They are sort of around, I guess, sort of applying to degrees in chemistry. So one student's asked, what's your advice for a great personal statement when applying for MChem? And another one has asked, sort of, is a degree in chemistry similar to A-level chemistry? So are you able to talk to any of those?
So should we start with the MChem with a great statement? I think conveying your passion for the subject is really what you want to do. What is it about chemistry that is motivating you to want to carry on with it? And I think if you can encapsulate that, I think that will make for a great statement. The fact you remember these people are very happy that you're wanting to go on to do chemistry, so you're pushing it an open door. And if you've got, again, a big ask, but you're presumably doing some work experience now, so you can draw on what you're actually doing now and include that, and that will make for a very powerful application. I'd also urge you, I mean, if you have a career advisor at where you're at your school, ask them to take a look, and then perhaps you can also get in touch with these universities that you're interested in and just ask them, you know, what do you look for in a statement? They really are open and want it to work for you. So I would urge you to do that too.
Fantastic. And there was the other question about, is a degree in chemistry similar to A-level chemistry? I guess that's quite a hard one to answer, depending on the degree that's chosen.
I from what I know, because I have not got a degree in chemistry, that I think it's a big step change from the A-level in both in that you're thinking more about how to apply what you've been learning at A-level, and so again, I would talk to the universities that you're interested in to understand more about what the degree is like. I do that whatever you're applying for, actually. And that time that you spend doing that will reap such rewards and save you so much heartache and time later. I would, you know, it's well worth every conversation.
Yeah, I think that's really helpful to know, because I was wondering, do you, if some of our audience are interested in going on to study chemistry or sort of taking it further, do you have any tips around them picking courses?
Well, I would point you in the direction of our website, where we have accredited degree courses. So the Royal Society of Chemistry validates, I think there are hundreds of degree courses on our site of universities all around the UK, and they've had to go through certain sort of tests, I suppose, benchmarks, to make sure that they meet them, and things like your transferable skill, the skills that you're learning there, and that you'll have some employability skills at the end of them, and then whether there's a year where you're going to be working in industry, and what the course content is. It makes sure that what you're learning there is what employers are looking for.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, so look at the accredited courses on the RSC website. It's a good place to start. Well, we are a little bit over time. Is there any last sort of tips or advice you wanted to give, or any sort of more information about the RSC?
Well, I'd say just get in touch with us at careers@rsc.org if you do have any questions, or you want more in-depth answers on the questions you've asked today, or if there might have been a question you wanted to ask and, you know, you're just hanging back a bit and it occurs to you later on. But really, I mean, I think one of my regrets is I didn't do chemistry degree. I think it's a marvelous career. It seems to be very diverse and have something for everybody, and it gives you skills that you can then take elsewhere if you don't want to be in a lab coat.
Fantastic. Okay, well, thank you so much for your time, Lakshmi, to give us a little bit of an insight into careers in chemistry. Thank you to everyone who's joined as well to listen in. There will be a recording made available afterwards, so if you wanted to, you can listen back. But for now, have a wonderful day, everyone, and thank you for your time.